Let's talk about it. Don't you wanna talk about it? Let's talk about it. Don't you wanna talk
And now,
about it? Let's talk
Miss
about
JSpire.
it. Don't you wanna talk about it? Let's talk about it. Don't you wanna talk about it? Let's talk about it.
Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome to Fill Up Friday Live. I am your host, Mrs. JSpire. I'm so excited about coming on with you guys tonight because initially I was like, you know what? It's Friday night, it's the holidays. People may not come on. And as I went to type that we would not have Fill Up Friday tonight, something in my heart just said, no, this is not the way that we are going to end 2023. We've been very diligent in 2023 with going live for Fill Up Friday. And so I said tonight we are going to go on regardless of who comes on live. Folks are going to catch the replay and I have to be in place. And that's what we talked about a lot this year on JSpirations Live and Fill Up Friday Live, just being obedient, right? Allowing God to use us, being in place, walking in preparation, right? Being intentional about what we're doing, who we're interacting with, and how we are using what God has given us. And so if you're catching the replay, thank you so much. Please still comment and share. We do go back and read the comments to ensure that we are communicating and engaging with our audience. So, for some of you guys who are new, you may be asking, what is JSpirations Live? What is Fill Up Friday Live? Well, JSpirations Live is a time where we'll talk about Fill Up Friday. So let's talk about JSpirations Live. So JSpirations Live is a show where we encourage, we motivate, we inspire, we support each other, right? We have healthy conversations. We have real conversations with real people. And we JSpire, right? We want to make sure that people know that they do not have to do life alone, right? So it's a safe place. It's a safe platform where we're talking with real people and we're getting real information and we're getting real feedback, right? We're having real conversations. Yes, one day I would love to like speak to celebrities and do all those things. But right now I'm in a space where I want to talk with people who are tangible, right? People who I can connect with, people who you can connect with, real people, so that you can know again that you don't have to do life alone, that you know that things that you are going through, that other people are going through as well. And so we want to be able to be transparent. We want to be able to share. We want to be able to say, you know what, I went through that. I got through it, right? I'm here, or I'm going through that, and I'm here for the support, right? So that's what JSpirations Live is. That's what it's about. It's a motivational movement. We're not just here talking, but our conversations are very intentional and they are very meaningful. So, Mrs. JSpire, what is Fill Up Friday Live? Well, Fill Up Friday Live is a time where we come together to do all those things that we just talked about, right? It's an intimate time. It's a time where we talk about what we filled up on this week. And we talked about what we didn't fill up on, right? Like, what do we need or what did we need that we didn't get? And so the goal is that when you come on, if you came on empty, that you leave full. If you came on Fill Up Friday feeling down, then when you leave, you are encouraged. And so that's what it's all about. So tonight, and what is a Philip Friday Faithful? A Philip Friday Faithful are the folks who come on every Friday night to have those conversations to help encourage each other and to fill up. So tonight we're going to do things just a little different. Usually I would read all of the posts that we posted throughout the week and we would talk about it individually, right? We would go through each post. But tonight I'm going to do it a little different. Um, it is the last Philip Friday for the year. And so, what I wanted to do tonight is just to come on and just encourage you guys as we're coming to the end of the year. I know if you're like me, this year has been rough sometimes, right? We've gone through some things, we've had some things happen, we've lost some loved ones, we lost some friends, some of us maybe lost jobs. Just things have been happening. And so all year we've been talking about being intentional, being prepared, being obedient, right? And doing what God has called us to do. We've also talked about accepting those no's, right? Because we're always looking for a yes. And then when a no comes along, we're like, hey, wait a minute, what's happening? Why did this person tell me no? Or why didn't things work out the way I wanted it to work out, the way I thought it was working out? Well, we talked about earlier in the year that no's are healthy as well. Right? That no's, sometimes those no's is because what someone is offering us, it's not good enough, it's not big enough, it's not part of our purpose. It's not what we're exposed to, what we're supposed to accept, right? So no's are not negative. Can also be very positive, right? And they can also be very helpful as well. Because sometimes we're trying to move in ways that's not good for us and not healthy for us. And so God has to say no, right? Like, this is not for you. I have something different. I have something better. I have something bigger. So as we're preparing to move into 2024, what I want to encourage you to do is not just focus on all the things that were not so good this year in your eyes, right? Focus on the things that have been great and focus on the things that you have learned about yourself. The last couple of years, at the end of the year, I have written down all the things that I have learned about myself, not what I've learned about other people, what didn't go my way, none of those things, but what did I learn about myself, right? What could I do better? What could I do different? What could I do less of? What could I do more of? Because the goal is to become a better person, right? A better you. Because nobody can do you like you do you. And so every year that God gives us, every day, every minute, every second that He gives us, it's an opportunity to be a better version of ourselves. So as we're moving into 2024, don't make a New Year's resolution. All these things that you're going to do. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. If those are things that you want to do, then that's great, right? But don't make it a resolution. Make it a lifestyle, right? Take all the things that you've learned about yourself over the last year and put it into work, right? Make it happen. If something doesn't happen when you want it to, how you want it to, don't get discouraged, right? Just know that God has a plan for you, right? And we don't always know. Right, he gives us a vision, but we don't always know exactly how it's going to go. And that's really not our business. We are supposed to trust him. We are supposed to allow him to lead us and guide us and be attentive to what he is saying. Don't just hear it, but really listen and then execute it, right? Because he has our best interests. He knows what we want, right? He knows our heart's desire and he wants us to have it. But he doesn't want us to have it any kind of way, and he doesn't want us to have it halfway. He wants us to be whole, right? He wants us to be whole. He wants us to walk in freedom. He wants us to walk in honesty, right? And that honesty starts with being honest with ourselves. And that's a lot that I've learned about myself this year. It's a way that I have reflected, because I've realized that I haven't been honest with myself about a lot of things for a really long time. And so over the last couple years, as I've started to really reflect, I've become honest with myself, right? And with being honest with myself, I've been able to be more transparent with my story, right? And know everything's not for everybody, but for the people that it's for, right? Who it's for, who I'm supposed to share it with. I'm able to be honest and I'm able to be transparent. And that makes it purposeful and it makes it intentional. So this year, and you don't have to wait until next year. That's not what we're doing, right? We don't have to wait till 2024 to start executing anything. If God has given you a vision, He's given you a goal, right? He's told you some things to do. Start preparing for it right now. We're not walking the rest of 23 out just being average, right? We're doing what God has called us to do. So begin to execute it right now. Begin to execute it today. At the beginning of 2023, here on JSpirations Live, we said that we were walking in expectation and we were walking in preparation, right? And we were walking in obedience. And in doing that, God has shifted so many things in my life, right? And so that's what I'm carrying over into 2024, but I'm not waiting. I've carried it out all year and I'm going to carry it out. It has become a part of me. So I'm encouraging you that what God has put in you, what He has seeded in you, I'm encouraging you to start pushing now, right? It is time to give birth to what God has put in you. Right. And everything that you have is not just for you, it's for someone else too. So someone else is waiting for you to be obedient. Someone else is waiting for you to get into position, and someone is waiting for you to push. So I encourage you tonight to push. And I also encourage you to not to let anyone tell you that you can't do it. Don't let anyone tell you that you're too old, that you're too young, that you're too broke, that you're too this, that you're too that. No, if those things don't link up to who God has told you who you are, and He showed you who you are, then we're not making room for that at all. We're not making room for those comments. We're not making room for those conversations with people. We are only listening to who God has says that we are and what God is saying to us. Right. And so we have to open ourselves to be able to connect to who He tells us that we need to be connected to. So there's going to be some people that's not going to be able to go to where you are going, right? They're not going to be able to be a part of it. Doesn't mean that you love them any less. It doesn't mean that you don't like them, right? It doesn't mean that you don't care about them. It just means that they are not to go where you're going, or they are not to be a part of that particular project. And that's okay, right? God is going to connect us to who we need to be connected to if we are obedient and we really listen, right, to what He's saying. Like, we don't need to just be having conversations with Him when things are going bad, right? What we consider bad. Oh God, I need you to help me. I need you to be there. No, He's always there and He's always willing to help us. But He wants us to talk with Him and be in tune with Him daily, consistently, right? He wants us to tell Him thank you when we're in the valley, right? And a lot of us, we're walking through the valley, but He also wants us to be, when things are going well, He still wants to hear that thank you. He wants to commune with you. He wants to engage with you, right? He wants to have relationship with you, and He wants it to be consistent. And so I encourage you to be consistent with that relationship, to be consistent with listening to what He's telling you, be consistent to following directions. And I promise you, He is going to prepare you, and he is going to seat you at tables that people don't even think that you're qualified for. And that's okay, because God calls us. We're not worried about what the world says. We're not worried about what people next door are saying. We are walking in 2023 with how God has called us, and we're carrying that over into 2024. Leave the negativity in 2023 if you participated in it. Minimize your capacity for nonsense, minimize your capacity for gossiping, minimize your capacity for listening to what people are saying about other people and other things that's negative. Limit those things. Begin to clear your head of all the negativity and of all the nonsense, right? Of all the noise, right? Of all the things that does not line up with who God has called you to be and what he has called you to do, right? This year, I learned that there are people that's for me, right? And then there's people who are waiting for my demise. I'm not even worried about those folks who are waiting for my demise. I'm not giving them any type of attention. I'm not worried about it. Right? People say, oh, there's haters and all those things. Don't worry about those things. What is a hater? Right? Like we don't have to define it. We don't have to deal with it. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to give them any type of attention. Let them keep that negativity over there, and you continue to look straight ahead and go and do what you're supposed to be doing. There's enough out here for everybody, and nobody can do you like you, and nobody can do what God has called you to do the way that he's called you to do it and where he has called you to do it at. So I encourage you tonight to begin to spend some time with God and ask him, God, what is your vision for me? Right? What is it that you want me to do? Because everything that he's given you and that you need is already inside of you. You don't have to wait for him to deposit it. It's already there. The deposit has already been made, right? He's just waiting for you to do what he's told you to do with the funds, right? So it is one or two things I'm going to read from the post this week before I go. And for those of you watching, thank you so much for hanging out. But there's just a couple of things that I'm going to read. I'm going to start with Thursday Thoughts. And on Thursday Thoughts, we said that sometimes you have to experience a short blackout to really appreciate the light. Be patient. The ETA is going to be right on time. So the other night, I was sitting here getting some things done, and the lights went out. I got so frustrated, right? Because I had all these things that I needed to do, right? Things I wanted to get done, but the lights went out. And so I couldn't do those things. But let me tell you what God gave me. He gave me family time. I was able to sit and play games, right? Buy flashlight, have conversations and laugh and just rejoice. I didn't know that I needed it. Right. I didn't know that I needed it, but it was something that I really needed it. And so that blackout, man, it blew my mind, because when the lights came back on, I was almost like, man, I kind of wish they had stayed out a little bit longer. Why? Because then everybody went back to doing what they were doing. But in that blackout, in that moment, there were good conversations. There was laughter, right? There was reminiscing. And it was good, right? And I was so excited about it. And I had called and I was like, when the light's going to come back on? And they gave me an ETA. And the ETA ended up being about 45 minutes more than what they said, right? But it was all purposeful, right? And I had to learn to be patient in that moment. And I had to learn when the lights came back on, I was thankful for the lights. But man, it really made me appreciate that blackout too, right? Because I learned something. It taught me something. It gave me something that I needed, right? Something I needed to think about, right? Something I needed to participate in. So blackouts aren't always bad, right? But sometimes we do have to experience them to give us the opportunity to really appreciate the light. but be patient because the ETA is going to be right on time. So what he gives you and when he releases it, it's right on time. It's not too late. It's not too early. You're not too old. You're not too young. You're not too single. You're not too broke. None of those things. The ETA, you are right where you're supposed to be. And then just the last one. I want to encourage you guys, and this is a long one, so I'm not going to maybe do all of it, but Wednesday thoughts, it was a Wednesday thought and it was a Wednesday wisdom. And I was sharing that some years back, there was a situation that I was really broken over, right? I was so broken over it that I was really crying about it every single day. And then finally, one day I said, God, I can't do it anymore. My heart's broken all the time. I really just got to let it go. I know there's nothing that I can do about it. And so that day, I actually released it to the Lord. And I was like, Lord, however you work it out, whatever happens, that's just what it is. Now, did I forget about it? Absolutely not. But I didn't deal with it. I didn't think on it every day. I didn't cry about it. I had actually released it and it felt good. Well, fast forward some years later, God really began to show me the preparation and the mending that He had been doing, right? That had been taking place that I was not even aware of. And today, that situation looks brand new. So, what I want to encourage you tonight is to stop trying to make temporary repairs, right? Because when we try to do things, that's all we're doing. It is a temporary repair, right? And they don't last, right? Those temporary repairs do not last. Hey Jeannie, hey, it's my sister. They don't last. But when God fixes it, it becomes brand new. And today, that situation is absolutely brand new. And I'm so thankful that I let it go and I allowed God to fix it. I allowed Him to repair it, right? And so now it's brand new. So that's how I want you to walk through the end of 2023 and into your preparation for 2024, letting go all the things, right, that's holding you back, all the things that's holding you down, all the things that's distracting you. So yes, we're human. So we're gonna think about things. We're gonna feel, we're gonna want things to be a certain way. But listen, hey mother, but listen, I'm encouraging you to use wisdom. I'm encouraging you to release it to God. And I'm encouraging you to allow Him to repair it. And I'm encouraging you to stop trying to make temporary repairs. They don't work. So I love you guys. I'm so excited that you guys have rocked out with me for the entirety of 2023. We've had some amazing shows this year. We've had some amazing guests. We've had some absolute amazing conversations on those shows. And then each Friday for Philip Friday Live. Listen, it has been amazing. There has been Friday nights when I have come on and I have felt so empty, and you guys have poured into me with your diligence of being here on Friday night, with your comments, with your love. And then a couple months ago we had our 5-year anniversary. We had an amazing celebration, and you guys showed up in numbers. You sold the venue out, right? You sold the event out, and we had such an amazing time. And so, you guys think that I come on every Friday to encourage you, but I also come on to be encouraged. And you guys have done just that for JSpirations Live. I'm excited about 2024 and what God has given me to give to you for 2024. Some of the conversations and events that we are going to be having, I'm still amazed that He has chosen me as that vessel to be able to do these things. I've always wanted to be a motivational speaker. I've always wanted to do things around communication. But when I wanted to do it, it wasn't the time. But the ETA was right on time. When God gave it to me, it was exactly when I was supposed to birth it, right? So again, As I said earlier, I'm encouraging you to get into position, and I'm encouraging you to begin to push and to begin to give birth to what God has put inside of you. Don't wait, right? If He's given it to you, begin to execute it, begin to prepare for it, right? And some people think you have to be absolutely ready and all these things have to be in place in order for you to execute it. But no, baby, preparation is important, right? And so God has to put us in a preparation stage, right? He has allow us to carry that baby, right? So that the baby can go through all the stages that it needs to go through, and that we can, so we're like that baby, right? We're going through that process, right? So He wants you to take care of that baby in that process. And then He wants you to get in position, and then He wants you to push, right? So we all have something to give birth to. And so get in position, right? Get in position for the delivery for what God has given us to birth, right? 2024, amazing, right? So January the 27th, our annual poetry and pastries. I'll be putting the time and the location out soon, but January the 27th, we're also going to have one of our lives with the special guest on I believe it's the 21st. I'll put that out soon for save the date. I'll be doing some things in my hometown this year. Really excited about that. I'll be partnering with one of my good friends, and we're going to do something for our community. I am so excited about that. It's nothing like giving back to the place that birthed you, right? To the place that you came from. To even when it's a place that you're like, oh, I can't wait to get away from here. But that goes back to what God has put in us. We were not born in certain places just because. It was all intentional and it was all purposeful. So I can't wait to go back to my hometown and have that event for the community, just to be able to say thank you, just to be able to give back and bring some Jspiration to the area. So Nelson County, thank you for supporting me. Everybody comes to the events, they come on the live shows. And so I'm excited about being home and giving back. So I'm not going to stay on long. I love you guys. I hope that if you didn't hear anything else tonight, that you heard just a couple things that you remember to get into position and get ready to deliver what God has put in you. It is time to push, right? It's not time to be sitting down. It's not time to be waiting. It's not time to be second guessing yourself. It's not time to be saying, God, are you sure? Yeah, He's sure. He's waiting for you to be obedient, and He's ready for you to get into position, and He's ready for you to push. I love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. Please have a safe New Year weekend. Drive careful. Get to your locations safely. Make sure your family is good. There's Ubers out there. There's Lyfts out there. All those things. If you're going to be out and about and you're going to be drinking, look it up where they're giving free rides. Let your friends know. Let your family know. We want to make sure that everybody gets to and fro safely. You do not have to drink and drive in order to get where you need to get. So I love you guys. Practice some self-care this weekend. I may see you guys before January the 1st, but if I don't, have an amazing new year. Have a safe new year. I love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. And as always, be JSpire.